Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the African Languages Fair. And in this session, I will briefly tell you the African Languages Program. We'll briefly talk about the African Languages Program. And after that, I will invite three panelists who will be with us to talk more about their experiences in the African Languages Program. So the African Languages Program is hosted at the Department of African American, and Diaspora Studies. And we offer instruction in 3 African languages at this time through the department. And those are Swahili, Wolof, and Yoruba. There are other languages which are also hosted at the African Studies Center, that is mainly Chichewa, which is spoken in Malawi. So the 3 languages that we teach are widely used languages in Africa and elsewhere in the world. Swahili is spoken by about 100 million people in East and Central Africa. And it is also good to know that Swahili has been adopted by the African Union as one of its functional official languages. And something else also that is good to know about Swahili as now an international language. In 2021, the United Nations declared July 7 as the World Kiswahili Day. And the other language that I mentioned that we teach is Wolof, which is spoken by over 10 million people as the first language and also as a second language, mainly in Senegal. But the Gambia and Southern Mauritania, all those languages also speak Wolof. And also modern migration, business, and trade have taken the language to some parts of Guinea-Bissau, and also Mali. So there are very many speakers in West Africa of the Wolof language. And Wolof is also largely spoken by Senegalese immigrants in the United States and also Europe. And the third language that I mentioned we teach in the African Languages Program is Yoruba. Currently, we are teaching Yoruba 402, and Yoruba as a language is spoken by over 50 million people in Nigeria and parts of Togo, Ghana, Republic of Benin, and Sierra Leone. And Yoruba is also spoken by West African immigrants in the Americas and Europe. There's a good number of Yoruba speakers in Southern American countries such as Brazil, and also within the United States. In South Carolina, just our neighbor here, there is a Yoruba village there called Oyotunji. It was started in the 1970s by a Yoruba speaker. And people can visit that village to learn more about Yoruba language and culture. So we teach that language here, so it's cool. You can know about this language right here, and also its cultures. The Swahili language programs are taught by me, Mohamed Mwamzandi, and Dr. Rafael Biria, while the Wolof language courses are taught by Dr. Samba Kamara. And currently we also have 2 Fulbright foreign language teaching assistants who are hosted at the African Studies Center. They are Muhsinato Toure, who assists Dr. Samba Kamara in the teaching of Wolof, and also Igbekele Salawu, who assists us in the teaching of the Yoruba language and culture. And it is also good to know that plans are underway to hire a full-time Yoruba language instructor. So in the next 1 minute or 2, I would briefly tell the audience why we should consider taking African languages at the UNC-Chapel Hill. And also please pass this message to other students And anybody who will be interested that you know in learning African languages, but still have questions. So there's a lot to benefit from learning African languages. 70% of the Africa's population living in rural areas speak native African languages, and also in the urban centers. African languages are more functional and practical than any other language. There is this misconception that you can go about in Africa by learning either French, English, Spanish, or Portuguese. That is the former colonial languages, but that is not the case. It's only 20% in the Anglophone countries, that is countries formerly ruled by Britain, such as Kenya and other countries like South Africa or Zimbabwe. In those countries, only 20% of the population speak English. And it's not the English that you will go there with our accent here in the US and talk to anybody. I know my kids go to Kenya. I have a daughter called Aisha, and with her American accent, thinks that everybody who has gone to school there will understand her. And then she will speak her American accent and people will be just laughing at her like, what are you saying? What are you telling us? So it's not the same English that we speak. So it's either Kenyan English or it's Senegalese French. So it's not the same English. They will take time before they even start hearing you. So it's very beneficial that you learn African languages because they are the most functional and people will easily follow you. And they're also practical because you talk to somebody in their languages, you are actually talking to their hearts. You talk to them in languages that they have learned, you are just talking to their heads, but not their hearts. So if somebody realizes that you are speaking the language that they actually learned from the beginning of their lives, they will just appreciate the effort you have taken to learn those languages. So as mentioned, we teach regional lingua francas, a language that is widely spoken in Africa, Swahili, Wolof, and Yoruba. And it is also good to know that for strategic cultural engagement, business relationships, and also to redress the cultural inequalities perpetuated first by slavery and later by colonialism, it is good for us in the Western countries and also the United States particularly to learn these African languages. African languages are a key resource in enabling and acceleration of human and economic development in Africa. So I think with those remarks, I will invite 3 panelists to talk to us about their experiences about the African Languages Program here at the UNC-Chapel Hill. That is Brian Dogan, Kayla Thuni, and Foluwa Agbebi. So I will start by asking a question that I will first direct to Brian Dogan, who is a doctoral candidate in the Department of Anthropology at the UNC. And also his research is based in Tanzania and focuses on how global attention to mental health shapes the provision of care for Tanzanians with severe mental disorders, and how historical and emerging inequalities in Tanzania shape the experiences of care as patients and caregivers try to access and provide psychiatric care. His research has been supported through various scholarships, including the Fulbright Highest and 3 Foreign Language Area Studies Awards awarded through the African Studies Center here at the UNC to study Kiswahili. So I had him for quite some time in the Swahili classes. So before I talk about Kayla Thuni, Brian, please, and also the other panelists, that is Kayla Thuni and Foluwa, will also respond to this question after I introduce them. Please tell us a little more about you and why you decided to learn an African language, that is Kiswahili, and how the study of Kiswahili has helped you in your academic endeavors and or career path. I think Brian is muted. Please enable him to be able to.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Here we go. Thanks, Malimu, for the introduction. I chose to, as an anthropologist, it's important, that we understand, the language where we work. And so studying Swahili was important because working in Tanzania, I needed to be able to know it in order to have conversations with friends, with my colleagues, with my research subjects. And, I had a lot of the kind of experience that Professor Mwamzandi was talking about, where, there were times when it wasn't perfect, but it was like, my colleagues and people really appreciated the fact that I had taken the time to learn it and to invest time in it, and to be able, they would always correct me and offer me better ways of saying things, or why did you do it that way? But it was something that really helped me to gain people's trust in a space where other Mzungu hadn't spent the time to learn Swahili. I remember meeting this 70-year-old plus Australian doctor who was just as long as you know the greetings, you're fine. And he had been there for 10 years. And I was like, what are you doing? How did you, for being here for 10 years, how did you not learn more? And so it really, being able to spend 3 years in the classroom really kind of helped me to, be able to understand what people were saying and communicate and gain people's, trust to be able to accomplish my research goals.
Thank you, Brian, for those remarks. And now the second panelist, that is Kayla Thuni, will also respond to that question. She is a third-year PhD student in the history department at the UNC-Chapel Hill. She studies gender, freedom, and colonialism in 19th century in West Africa. And she is currently researching and writing a dissertation with an emphasis on women's experiences with emancipation and colonialism in Senegal, Gambia, and Sierra Leone. So Kayla, tell us more about your experiences in learning the Wolof language and why you decided to learn Wolof, and how has Wolof helped you in your academic endeavors and or career path?
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Brian, for your words. I really do echo a lot of that as well. I've studied West African history more broadly since my undergraduate days, starting in about 2014. And I sort of always knew I had sort of had an interest in Senegalese history, particularly sort of 19th, early 20th century. And I didn't really have the resources as an undergraduate to be able to devote myself to those sort of studies. So I knew that that was something coming into this program that would be really important to me. And I think that for me, part of what drives it to, sort of echoing what Brian has said, it comes from a standpoint of respect. I don't want to be a Western researcher I don't want to be the 70-year-old doctor who just knows the greetings. I want to be able to actually engage with people and foster those sort of lasting academic and social connections with people that extend beyond just when I'm in a place doing research, when I'm talking with archivists. I want to be able to sort of foster those connections. And I think that in a lot of ways, language does that. Being able to communicate and being able to talk with people openly and honestly, and sort of approaching it from a point of having intense respect for language and culture and all of these things that are all really intrinsically wrapped up. And I think that the second part of your question as well, how this will sort of help me, in my future research. I have not been able, because of COVID restrictions and various lockdowns and various sorts of things, I've not been able to yet go over and spend time in the National Archives in Dakar or go to Saint-Louis. But I'm hoping to be able to embark on that this summer. And I think that really, studying Wolof, devoting myself to studying it for, the last 2 years, and I'm sure, of course, that my studies will extend beyond these just sort of 2 years. It really has helped me sort of prepare, as I said, sort of form those connections with people, but also to prepare myself for traveling and being in a place and sort of experiencing, not just, sitting in a dusty archive, but actually connecting with people and being able to really engage with Wolof culture and Senegalese culture more broadly. And I think that that's been a great opportunity through the African Studies Language Center.
Thanks, Karen, for those remarks. I appreciate you for the kind words about knowing the African cultures and societies by learning their language. I mean, the languages that people actually speak there, rather than communicating through former colonial language, or maybe French or English or Spanish. That is very good of you. And I appreciate you for that. The third panelist that will answer that question also is Folua Agbebi, who is a first-year student majoring in neuroscience from Charlotte. Please tell us, why did you decide to learn Yoruba, being the fact that this was the first time that we are offering Yoruba this semester? We had never offered Yoruba, and we just started, and you were in there immediately. Tell us more. What inspired you to do that? Join.
Well, first of all, thank you, Brian and Kayla, for your responses. They were very moving. Most of my experience with Yoruba comes from a lot of personal background. I myself am Yoruba ethnically, and my parents immigrated from the UK when I was about a year old. And we moved around before I eventually moved to Charlotte in about 4th grade. And growing up, my parents started teaching me Yoruba, but as soon as I started enrolling in school, out of fear of interfering with English, they stopped teaching me. And so I eventually lost use of the language. And so when I found out that the first semester, a introductory class was being taught online through the University Cultural course exchange program, I was very happy to be able to start learning Yoruba officially through the university. And I was very excited when they offered another class again this semester. Much of my learning, again, comes from really attempting to reconnect with my own culture and learning about my own language. And so far, I have been able to have more conversations with my parents in Yoruba, which has been a very exciting endeavor. And when I visit, of course, post-COVID, when I start visiting Nigeria more, I look forward to being able to speak to relatives and siblings. Not only that, but sort of go out into Nigeria and actually have more conversations from a more authentic standpoint now that I actually know the language. And so I'm very excited. It's being offered at Yoruba at UNC, and I'm very happy to see the program grow.
Thank you, Agbebi, for your remarks on that. And it's also good to know that we do have participants who also want to share their experiences about learning Kiswahili. And I think this second question that I have is very relevant to what Ricky wants to say. That is, how has learning these languages helped you? To this, I was talking to Brian, Folua, and also Kaela, helped you to understand African cultures and societies. Let's start with Dogan, and then if we have some time, I may invite also Ricky to tell us about his personal experiences. Yeah.
Who's Brian?
Brian.
Myself.
You're muted, Brian.
Oh, yeah, it's there we go. How has learning language helped me learn about African cultures? That's the question. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, I mean, I think one of the obvious answers is just kind of seeing what kinds of, different languages have certain different words for things, or how do you frame, what is the way in which language kind of frames particular questions or problem, in the broad sense. I'm trying to think of an example here. I can't come up with one off the top of my head, but I think that that's really like, it kind of gets you to an essence of who people are, and what are the things that they value, what are the things that they think are important. And it really, I feel like, my time in Tanzania, it really helped me to get there.
Okay. Kaela, could you also share your experiences about learning a Wolof and how it has helped you to understand African cultures and generally the people of Africa?
Yeah, thank you. So one of the things for me as a historian, and as a historian who studies, early 19th century, so much of my engagement with like Wolof cultures and with Senegalese culture and West African cultures more broadly has been through books and archives and dusty tomes and, reading about people who lived 250 years ago. And so there's a way that as a researcher, without engaging with living things, and and in this case, I do mean language, because language is living and evolving and changing and people are engaging with it in different ways. There's a way in which, as a researcher, and especially as a researcher, I was a researcher from the West, there's a way in which you run the risk of viewing culture and viewing things as static. And I think that is learning African languages and having the opportunities to be able to, engage with Wolof music and food and dress and ideas and things, that helps to combat this sort of dusty tome of, reading French colonial archives and trying to get at, what life was like for people living in Dakar in 1850. There's a way in which like learning languages and engaging with like Wolof culture has helped me to sort of think about history and think about the history of the Wolof people and of West African history more generally as this sort of facet that engages with, music and history and culture and all of these different things. I'm looking right now actually at my, I collect vinyl records, and I'm looking, and since I've been in my Wolof classes, I've actually had quite a good deal of luck finding things like Usendor records, and so I've incorporated those into my sort of what I'm spinning and what I'm listening to, and I really, I was aware of different like Wolof artists and Senegalese artists and things, but I think also having those as teaching tools and language tools helps to sort of transition that into having that in my everyday life. So when I'm reading Liberated Village records from 1871, I can be sort of still engaging with music and art and culture and all of these things, and not have it be a little more of a porous boundary, not have it be so separated between history and culture. And I think that learning languages has definitely helped sort of make that divide a little more porous for me as well.
Thank you so much, Kaela, for those remarks on how language can help you even understand that there is Youssou, who is a very important musician in Senegal. But through learning these languages, then we get to know that there is also music, and we also get to know the musicians, and we get to enjoy what those musicians and other artists actually produce. So, Agbedi, being an hereditary speaker who is trying to learn, you learned Yoruba, maybe you have heard it from your parents, it's there. How has being in class now helped you to understand better the Yoruba language and culture, and how to conduct yourself, maybe in front of elders or in the when in the community generally?
Thank you. I think one great example of this, like you just mentioned, is in the seniority aspect. In the language itself, of course, there are different pronouns depending on whether you're talking informally or formally with someone. And learning in Yoruba, I learned the history of the traditional greeting for elders. For men, for example, one is supposed to Jabali, in which you essentially prostrate on the ground in respect for your elders. And even though when I first visited Nigeria, I saw others perform that action, I didn't quite understand the history of that before taking Yoruba and learning more. And talking about what Kyla was talking about earlier, actually, about the evolution of culture. Another topic that I ended up discussing in Yoruba was actually the progression of that Dobale, because in the past, it would be a more, you would prostrate fully flat on the ground, but over time, it's sort of become less formal and maybe a simple crouch instead. And I had not known that in the past, it was considered much more important and official. And so seeing the evolution of culture over time, not only from a firsthand perspective, but also learning academically in history has been very interesting as well.
Thank you so much, Folu. I think we're running out of time. I would just ask one more question, which should be very brief, maybe 30 seconds each. If there are those students who are here listening to us and are hesitant in taking an African languages because they have never heard of African languages program before coming to the UNC, what would you tell the students based on your experiences in the African language class? What are you going to tell them that is different or unique, or just encouraging them to take African languages? Let's start with Dogan. Brian.
I mean, it's a different kind of cross-cultural experience than learning European languages. Like I took Greek, Latin, and French when I was in college. Like, learning Swahili was such a different, fun experience that, in a way that learning those languages wasn't. And so, yep.
Yeah, I would echo that as somebody who spent time learning French as an undergraduate. And I've been talking sort of from the purview of a researcher and a scholar, but like I really do just want to underscore the fact that like this has been such an amazing opportunity. I think that that we have these languages and that these language programs are growing at our university is a huge deal in such a great way. And I think that having those opportunities for students to, as Brian has sort of said, engage in that cross-cultural or sort of cultural exchange is really spectacular. Our instructors are really great. I think, as a student who has done both sort of in-person and virtual and then transitioning back into in-person learning, my African language classes have been really sort of a lighthouse and a sort of like a foundation on which these last 2 kind of crazy years have been founded. And I'm just really grateful. And I would definitely encourage any students who even have an interest in, even just a vague interest in learning a language, or they think it might be interesting, they might think it might be a fun class to sit in on. I would, encourage them to go and encourage them to, spend a little bit of time thinking about, what a great opportunity this could be. So yeah, thank you very much.
And Agbebi?
Yeah, I would say if you had even a cursory interest in an African language, I would say capitalize on it, especially because, and hopefully this changes in the future, because of those limited opportunities that you would get. I would see that as an opportunity to sort of expand your mind, learn more about a different culture, a different language that you might not get to be exposed to in the future. And I think acquiring new, not just language skills, but cultural competency skills would be a very great opportunity as well.
Thank you, Agbebi and Kyla and Brian. Ricky wanted to share with us his experiences while learning Swahili. I'll give him 1 minute to do that. Please, Ricky Majeti, before we go to the next session.
Hi, thanks. Pleasure to talk to you and to meet all of you. I'll talk for 1 minute. I'm a former Peace Corps volunteer. That's like many, many years ago. So I encourage everyone interested in Africa or interested in development to learn an African language, especially. Swahili was especially interesting to me because I lived on the island of Zanzibar. Zanzibar, even back then, and this was late 70s and early 80s, it was an island that only spoke Swahili. English was not a part of their culture or their language or whatsoever. So for order for me to survive as a Peace Corps volunteer, and I was a fisheries volunteer, so I was a technical volunteer. So I had to learn the language. So the first, I'd say 5-6 months was difficult, but meeting friends, getting to know the culture, getting to know the people, it created such an atmosphere for me that all of my friends were all Zanzibaris after that. For the whole 2 years, there were only maybe 2 other volunteers there in other fields such as forestry, but I was in fisheries. So it created such an opportunity for me. And when I left the Peace Corps, went on to recruit for Peace Corps. And then from there, I went on to join the Foreign Service at the State Department. So those who are interested in learning a language, the financial aspects of learning an African language is that you'll increase your pay grade. So my pay grade was increased as a result of the African language. I also speak Amharic, which is an Ethiopian language. I served in South Africa for 7 years with USAID as a project development officer, designing projects. And so because I knew Swahili, the Zulu language and the Sotho language were very similar Bantu languages, at least the aspects of Bantu. And so that created the opportunity to develop more friendships. And so I encourage, especially people that are interested in Africa and other parts of the world, to learn a language. And Kiswahili, for instance, I'm very happy that I know that. And I think that it's spreading throughout the world, as the professor said. And I think that it is rightfully so, that it should. It's created great opportunities throughout East Africa. I was there back during the heyday of Tanzania when Julius Nyerere was president. So I'm an old guy. So I have a lot of old experience, but I still have a lot to share. And if you're interested in learning more, don't hesitate to ask, and I'm here to help. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ricky. I think that has summarized everything. I don't need to add anything. We will straight away go to the next session. Thank you so much, Ricky.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for the wonderful panel and Mwalim Mohammed for moderating it. So our panelists really discussed something very important that highlights the value of language as carrier of culture. And so now we move to another highlight of our event today, which is our lineup of exciting performances by our highly dedicated African language students and also by our fantastic guest artists. So to open this, we will have a Wolof cultural showcase to be presented by our Wolof language instructor and FLTA, Mohsinatu Toure. The floor is yours, Mohsinatu.
Thank you so much, Professor Kamara. If you can allow me to share my screen.
Absolutely. Nazri, can you do that?
You can share now, Mohsinatu.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Thank you so much. So I'm going to present some historical and cultural facts about Senegal. including languages, ethnic groups, and some museums you can visit to learn about the country's history and culture over time. And if time allows also, I will talk a little bit about music and food and clothing. So about the population, if you refer to the estimation for 2020, the population, overall population is 60 million, divided into rural and urban. So half of the population is in rural areas. And when it comes to religion, so the predominant one is Islam, which is 95% of the population. We have also Christians and an estimated 1% of animists. So let's see about the languages. Senegal is known for its variety of languages and of course ethnic groups. French is the official language used at school as language of instruction and in the administration. However, it is spoken by 12% of the population. We have 6 national languages: Wolof, Fula, Serer, Jora, Mandinka, and Soninke. And the most widely spoken one is Wolof, as said by Mwalimu Mozambique, is spoken by 80% of the population as lingua franca, and over 40% of the population has it as the mother tongue. We have also Arabic, which is a commonly taught language. Because of Islam, you have a lot of Quranic schools and bilingual French-Arabic schools. So there are most people who prefer like their kids starting learning Arabic and French first before going to the governmental schools. And inside the governmental schools also, Arabic is taught as an L2. This is some of the national symbols of Senegal. So we have the lion, which is called Gainde in Senegal. And it represents courage and strength and royalty. And we have also the baobab tree, which represent resilience and power. And also as referred by the first president, Leopold Sedar Senghor, talking about enracinement and ouverture, which means like getting deeply rooted into your culture and then being open-minded to other cultures. So you can see those 2 main symbols on the coat of arms, in addition to the 3 colors of the national flag: green, yellow, red, and the star in the middle. And on the coat of arms, you can read one people, one goal, and one faith. So the currency in Senegal is CFA, West African CFA. Well, talk a little bit about the main historical sites and museums you can visit to learn about the country's culture and history over time. So let me start with the House of Slaves. So Senegal is well known historically by its role, the role it played during colonial time in the Atlantic slave trade. And the country's impressive Atlantic coastline, which is 530 kilometers, made the connection easier during that time. So the House of Slaves is in Gore Island. And here you can see what is called the door of no return, where an estimated 20 million Africans departed for the New World, including America and Europe. And there you can see in the picture, the President Obama standing there during his visit in 2013. We have, inside the Gore Island also, we have a museum, a large museum, which depicts Senegal's history from pre-colonial to colonial time, including the slave trade. You can learn about tribes, kingdoms, and religion, all about that from there. Then we have the African Renaissance movement, monument, sorry. This is the Gore Island. This is a beautiful view. I talked about the coastal line on Senegal. So the African Renaissance movement was opened in 2020 and built by the former president Abdoulaye Wade. So it was meant to celebrate African integration and emancipation from colonial time and slavery, and it represents independence of African nations. Inside the African Renaissance movement, we have a museum where you can see a lot of arts and statues representing culture, African cultures. Here you can see wrestlers, because wrestling is most of the most common sports in Senegal. You have people playing choras and those other things. It's a good place to visit. It is, with Gore, it is the most visited place in Dakar. This is the Ifan Museum, which is in French Institut Fondamental d'Afrique Noire. So it is the oldest museum in West Africa. It was opened in 1983. And it is the main cultural research center for the former French colonies of West Africa. So you can find there a lot of objects of arts, like musical instruments, clothes, masks, ancient weaponry from all over Africa, the Francophone Africa. Then we have the most recent museum, which is the Museum of Black Civilizations, which is in Dakar as well. So this museum, as you can see, is it's shaped do not shape arena, is the biggest museum in on the continent dedicated to African civilizations. So it is open to request the repatriation of African artworks, which is in other museum from outside the country. We have the museum of the Henriette Bachelet Women's Museum, which was in Gore, but now it is relocated in the Place du Souvenir in Dakar since 2015. So there you have a collection of photos, objects of arts depicting the traditional Senegalese women's life. Good. Now, the music in Senegal, the most famous one is mbalax, and as said by Kaela, we have Youssou N'Dour, which is the most famous singer. And these are some instruments used. So the tama, which is also drums, is used. You will see like our guest Jabel using some of this maybe. And you have the halam, the bongo, the kora. The bongo is mainly used in Senegal during naming ceremonies, weddings, and marriages to accompany the bride or the family singing and praising the family. These are some traditional clothes. These are mainly royal clothes used. This was worn during kingdom time. And then here you have a young toddler wearing a bailat. A bailat is one of the outfits from the Murid community. The Murid community, so the Senegal is 90% of Muslim, but the Muslim community is divided into Sufi brotherhoods. And the biggest one are the Murid community and the Tijaniya. And you can recognize them like ethnic groups or religious groups from their outfits. Here we have Kumba Gawlo, who is also a singer in Senegal, wearing Yawi Fall outfits. And we have the Lebu community. The Lebu community, they are a dialect of Wolof, performing Daurabing, which is a dance. And you see how they are dressed with the grand bubu, 2 grand bubus, and they have a headscarf and jewelries around their heads. And now my favorite topic, food. These are the most common food in Senegal. And most foods are made of rice and millet. So you have Chebujen, which is now a UNESCO national heritage. And you have Yassa, Mafe, which is made of peanut butter with stew. And you have Chebujen. So if you want to try some of this food, you can go on Franklin Street. There is a Senegalese restaurant there. I'm sorry, it's time. Thank you so much.
Well, I am just learning that piece of news. Thank you, Muhsin, about the Senegalese restaurant.
You're most welcome, everybody.
And that is a nice transition, I think, to our Wolof guest artist. So I will let Jabel and Diali to very briefly introduce themselves, and then we'll listen to the performance. Listen or watch.
Hello, guys. Thank you for having us here. My name is Jabel, and I am here with Diali Cissokho. We are from Senegal. We live in North Carolina, and we want to thank you, Samba, Ada, and everybody for making us part of this experience. So we belong to the griot tribe, and we are musicians, storytellers, spokesperson, as well as the memory of the society. So this is an opportunity for us to showcase our language, which is the music is used as a good tool to convey the messages and keep a lot of memories. For example, like when we're talking about the family linear, the family tree, the griot, which is the Diabel, which what I am, and Diali, we have a way to form it as a poetry to allow each body to remember at least your 7 descendant parents. So every time I say Cissokho Bana, everybody know that I'm talking about Diali and his descendants. If I say Jom Bambu, everybody will know that I'm talking about me and my ancestors. And I can go Bambu Dembak, Ndekin Machalof, and Mam Gora Farwete. So it is all a whole linear of tree that you can easily transcend it because of the way it was shaped. Tonight, we're gonna perform you a Wolof song with Diali Cissokho, who is a very renowned artist here, has a group called Kairaba, and they have performed all over the United States. And they're doing a great way entertaining people and just spreading the arts through the music. So I'll let Diali introduce himself, and we're gonna get through the rhythms, and we hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Enjoy what's about to happen. I hope you guys love it. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jërëjëf.
Wow, that was amazing. Even if we were not standing and dancing, we were really moving from the inside.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. And I can see that Mwalimu Muhammad also was shaking his head. So really...
That's a good sign.
All right. So thank you very much. We can't have enough of this, but we'll have to move to the others. And next in the lineup is, just pull out my list here. A skit to be performed by one of the Swahili classes, Swahili 402, which is taught by Mwamzandi or Professor Mwalimu or Professor Biria. And the performers include the students, Gillespie Abigail, joins Emily, Margarito Tariro, Nigel Parker, Sama Nandia, and Williams Ashley. I think I was reading the last names and then the first name because that's how the names were sent to me. We have a recorded, pre-recorded video, I think.
No, that one is not pre-recorded.
It's live.
Yes.
Okay, so great. So you have the floor.
Okay, and can we get for Ashlyn to have the ability to share screen?
You got it, Ashley.
Thank you.
Hamjambo, jina langu ni Nadia, na jina langu ni Kiswahili ni Zawadi.
Jina langu ni Nigel, na jina langu la Kiswahili ni Bakari.
Jina langu ni Abby, jina langu la Kiswahili ni Maahira.
Jina langu ni Tariro, jina langu la Kiswahili ni Tatu.
Jina langu ni Ashlyn, jina langu la Kiswahili ni Ziana. Jina langu ni Emily, na jina langu la Kiswahili ni Nafisa.
Leo tutazungumza kuhusu safari yetu ya Afrika Mashariki. Hebu tuanze. Tulienda Afrika Mashariki mwezi wa 6 wakati wa joto. Safari yetu ilikuwa ndefu sana. Tulisafiri kwa ndege. Safari hii ilichukua masaa 18 kufika Kenya. Tulipofika tulitembelea sehemu mbalimbali.
Jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni mwakaribishwa Kenya yetu, hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni mwakaribishwa Kenya yetu, hakuna matata. Ngiti jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni mwakaribishwa Kenya yetu, hakuna matata.
Mahali tulipoenda kwanza ni mbuga za wanyama.
Tuliona nini?
Tuliona simba.
Tuliona kiboko.
Tuliona jirafu.
Tuliona twiga.
Tulifurahi sana kuona wanyama hawa Afrika Mashariki.
Tulipokuwa na njaa, tulienda kwa mkahawa. Tulikula nini? Nilikula samaki wali mboga na glasi ya marahagwa.
Nilikula ugali, kuku wa kuchoma na kikombo cha chai.
Nilikula wali, maharage na nyama ya kuku.
Nilikula viazi vya kukaanga na nyama choma.
Nilikula nyama mboga, wali mweupe na kikombe cha chai.
Lakini tulipenda chakula gani sana?
Nafikiri tulipenda wali wa nazi, wali wa kukaanga na kuku wa kuchoma.
Tulifurahia sana safari yetu ya Afrika Mashariki na tunatumaini kurudi tena. Asantini.
Thank you very much. So this skit was about a trip to Kenya, Safari ya Afrika Mashariki. I hope I got that right, Mwalimu Mohammed and Birya.
To East Africa and especially Kenya.
Fantastic, fantastic. Wow, very spicy food that I saw here. And next, thank you very much again for that great skit. So next we have Wolof 2, taught by myself, and the skit is performed by the students Ajibari, Aminata Fatajo, Eli Heffernan, Aissatou Kone, Mam Salanjai, Zainab Sanyang, Mira Singal, and Henry Swift. Some of them may not be here actually. It is about buying traditional clothing in an African market around here in Durham.
I think I can leave. Okay, I'm going to start since I'm the narrator. So in the beginning, Mira and Ali meet inside Lenore Hall where they both go to eat lunch.
Assalamualaikum Ali, nangadef.
Mangifi, Yanak.
Santayala, Jamangayendu.
Jamrek.
Kugna nalagis, Lubes.
Databasu, Anga Bapare.
Well, Anya Bapare. Lo ante.
Anina Chebuya, Bugngacheb.
Did it. Sauro chicheb, espaghetti la gudabug. Mumlanyete.
Afna, Langaidef te chingong.
Damay dem chamar senora. Damay jen takai chosan girsunu gudig magal chosan afigi.
Magidon halat lolulegi. Konkainu an.
Aicha, nudem.
The two exit Lenore and find Mom Salon and Aissatou sitting outside.
Hey, nangendef.
Nungifi, mangjang and gan
Jamrek. Anyen bafare.
Wow.
Annanu. Legi danui dem magsenora.
Mashanora, Funlanik.
Munginek Durham, Chiwe to South Point.
Fufula bëgga dem ni lan ngeen di jëndi?
Man tamay jënd yori Wolof.
Man takay Wolof lay wuti.
Man tamit soxla naa yére ak daali cosaan kon ñu ànd. Aissatou dangay dem.
Waa damay demal kay. Bëgg naa jënd yére kosaan ak dàll tamit ma xamal marché Nora.
Da ngeen di dawal?
Déedéet, dañu jël bisu ñeenti téeméer bi.
Ban waxtu lay bis bi di dem?
Ci ñaari waxtu ak fanweeri simili ci ngoon lay dem.
Now arrived at Nora's African Market, after a 30-minute ride, they enter the store.
Assalamu alaikum.
I'm sorry. Malikum salam, yexelen nan Bulante.
Yere ak takay chosan lanyud beg, ndakam.
Wow, I'm not idal. Ak seri chosan yu rafet ak ay yere. Lepp Senegal ak Gambie la jóge. tamit yëpp a baax.
Wow,
Wow, lépp a rafet kay.
Chaka bi ñaata lay jar?
$40 la.
Hé, seer na. Wàññil waay. Yow bëgg naa xaalis trop.
Xaalis kenn bañu ko. Waaw léegi defal $25.
Fay naa $50. Baax na.
Waaw jëlal.
Man yori bu wax bi la bëgg ak denser.
Fayal $50 man ñoom ñaar.
Baax na, am sa xaalis.
Jërëjëf rap ak jàmm.
Daali wala fii nag.
$50 la paire bu nekk.
Tey baas bi nag.
Defal $100.
Baax na, jox ma benn peeru daala ak benn tey baas. Man jox ma benn peeru daala. Caq yi nag.
Benn $50 la.
Baax na, jaay ma ñaar.
Ay ci tànnal yi nga bëgg.
Mira, Ellie, Mom Salon, and Ice2 have finished shopping. They're now exiting the store.
Well, ba beneen jërë ngeen jëf.
Mira, Ellie, Salon, Ice2, and Ice2 are now back in Chapel Hill. Mom, Salon, and Ice2 are in their apartment, and they show what they have brought to their friends, to me and Zainab. Nangandev.
Nungi fi jamrek.
Gisma lin tesi nungun. Folin jogni.
Masha Nora lañu jugu.
Lan ngeen jënd.
Man jënd naa benn per dala kosan ak jënd cak ju rafet xoolal.
Wow, rafet na
lool.
Man tamit jënd naa benn peeru daala ak benn tey baas xool leen.
Wow,
yi tamit rafet na lool.
Wow, yi tamit rafet na lool.
Man itam bëgg na dem ca mars ba suba.
Ak man tamit.
Amul solo bu suba bu soobee Yàlla. Dinañ
jërë ngeen jëf ba suba bu suba Yàlla.
And jërë ngeen jëf. Thank you very much. And next, I will have to go faster, a little bit faster. Next in line is a performance by Swahili 402, taught by Professor Mwalimu Mamzandi. And the performers are Caleb Axley, Benjamin Bremson, Aaron, Caroline, Yolanda, Aisha, Lydia, Blake, Julia, and Alinda. Katiba visits his friend Fatuma. That's the theme.
Hodi hodi.
Sorry. Karibu Ndani.
Asante.
Katiba, huyu ni baba yangu anaitwa Baguma.
Shikamoo baba.
Marhaba mwanangu.
Na huyu ni mama yangu anaitwa Sarah.
Shikamoo mama.
Marhaba mwanangu, habari za safari?
Nzuri sana.
Unatoka wapi?
Ninatoka mji wa London, nchi wa Uingereza.
Ulizaliwa Uingereza?
Hapana, nilizaliwa nchi wa Afrika Kusini, mji wa Cape Town.
Kwa sasa unaishi wapi?
Kwa sasa ninaishi mji wa Chapel Hill, jimbo la Carolina Kaskazini, nchi wa Marekani.
Pole kwa safari. Unakaribishwa nyumbani kwetu mwanangu.
Asante baba.
Habari za nyumbani?
Nzuri sana.
Mama na bibi hawajambo.
Hawajambo.
Mama na bibi yako wanaishi Ulaya?
Hapana, wanaishi Ghana.
Wewe unafanya nini nchini Marekani?
Ninasoma chuo kikuu cha Chapel Hill.
Vizuri sana mwanangu.
Mama na baba, Katiba na mimi tunaenda sokoni.
Hapana, Katiba imechoka. Unaenda peke yako?
Hapana mama, sijachoka.
Sawa. Fanyeni haraka murudi nyumbani mapema.
Fatima na Katiba wanafanya mipango ya kujisherehesha.
Tunaweza kufanya mambo gani karibu na hapa?
Unapenda hufanya nini wakati wa starehe?
Ninapenda michezo kama chesi, drafu au Monopoly, na ninapenda kutazama michezo kama futiboli na tenisi. Pia ninapenda kuogelea.
Je, wewe hucheza tenisi au hutazama tu?
Nitazama tu, sichezi vizuri.
Tunaweza kwenda baharini kuogelea, kucheza mpira wa wavu, kucheza netiboli au kujenga nyumba ya mchanga.
Hiyo inasikia furaha, lakini itakuwa mvua leo.
Kutakuwa na jua kesho. Unataka kwenda baharini kesho?
Ndiyo. Tunaweza kufanya nini leo?
Tunaweza kwenda kutazama sinema.
Sinema gani itaonyesha leo?
Sinema ya Spider-Man itaonyesha usiku wa leo.
Nilitazama trailer ya Spider-Man. Ilionekana sinema nzuri.
Sawa, ninataka kununua vitu sokoni. Tunaweza kutazama sinema baada ya hapo. Je, unajali ikiwa nitaalika marafiki wengine kwenda nasi kwenye sinema?
Hapana, ningependa kukutana na marafiki zako.
Sawa, ninawapigia simu.
Katiba na Fatima sasa wamefika sokoni. Hayani mazungumzo baina yao muuzaji.
Hujambo.
Si jambo, karibu. Habari za mchana?
Nzuri, asante, na wewe?
Nzuri, asante. Mama na bibi, hawajambo?
Hawajambo. Leo ninataka vitu vingi sana.
Ungependa nini?
Ningependa mboga, matunda, chumvi, nyama, unga wa ugali na mchele.
Unataka mboga gani?
Ninataka sukuma wiki, nyanya 5, pilipili 3 na vitunguu tafadhali.
Sawa sawa. Unataka matunda gani?
Embe na nanasi ni shilingi ngapi?
Embe ni shilingi 300 na mananasi wawili ni shilingi 1000.
Sawa sawa. Nipe maembe 3 na mananasi 3.
Sawa sawa. Na nyama ya ng'ombe au nyama ya kuku?
Katiba, unapenda nyama ya kuku au nyama ya ng'ombe?
Ninapenda nyama ya kuku tafadhali.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Unahitaji mafuta ya kupikia?
Hapana, vyote ni vegani.
Jumla ni 9,500.
Hiyo ni ghali sana. Tafadhali punguza bei kidogo.
Sawa sawa. Basi nitapunguza shilingi 90.
Mungu wangu. Punguza kidogo.
Haiwezekani.
Mama yangu ni mtaji wako mzuri. Punguza kidogo tafadhali.
Maembe ni bure.
Asante sana. Chukua pesa zako hizo.
Asante sana. Rudi tena.
Asanteni kwa kutusikiliza.
Amazing. So the spice of African languages is that even when you don't understand, the body language tells you a lot about the funny sections of it. Thank you. Alinda, I like your pronunciation so much. So let's hear from Wolof 404, which is a class taught by Mosinatu Toure. And the performers include students Kaila Feni, Jara Fai, and Sonsiama Ubani, about a parking ticket that was given to one of them. And now the dialogue is with the police officer.
Hello, everyone. Mangi Tudu Sonsiama Lasante Ubani.
Mangi Tudu Kela Santuni.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Mangi Tudu Mamjada Puso Dominic Fai.
And if y'all want to follow along, we posted like the script in the chat if you guys want to follow along with the sequences of events.
Yes, and like Seen Samba said, it's basically a skit where we're just leaving a restaurant and they leave a ticket on my precious car. And we're just arguing back and forth with the parking attendant. It was inspired by an actual real life situation. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoy. An binet na log.
Wow, sama jebujen bi saf nasap. Pankangarewo, dafasori?
Sama daman mo'y buwehpi. Mungi gare fe. Chicano mo police beat.
Lalakay we didi def chikaw damarki.
Ay Allah, ticket la de. Men na log.
Halat nakimo kofiteg. Palmasen bi luta ngateg tikit chi damas. Sama damaru halit bi.
Salam alaikum soxna yi. Waro gare fi lu ëpp waxtu. Moo tax ma jox la ticket.
Haraw, te gaula. Yakar na te gare bi amul fe.
Wow, sunu dara gare amul fe ci weekend bi.
Déedéet, dafa am dogal bu bees léegi.
Dangay dof le.
Li tu dëgg. Dina wote police.
Soxna si, man may police bi.
Aha, kon baax na, dina leer.
Du dëgg du yoon. Nin fukki simili ak juróom rek lanu di def ci restaurant bi.
Déedéet.
Wow, dëgg la kay. Foto wu nanu sax ci bon restaurant bi, bala no dëgg. Xoolal waxtu wi ci foto bi.
Déggu leen.
Te am na damar yu fi gaare lu jiitu.
Damason. Mam beguma warante. Xam nga ni waru nge fay lu ëpp wok fukki $1 ak juróom. Mën nga dem tay. Wante beneen yoon. Tikutu $1 nge di jot yeen ñaar ñëpp. That's it.
Jeff, thank you very much. Wolof 404. And next we have Swahili 402, another section taught by Professor Biria about buying and selling things. And I think this one is the pre-recorded video.
Yes.
I'll be sharing it.
By students.
Claudia will be showing that.
Okay.
Can you hear the sound?
Yes.
Okay.
Habari za asubuhi. Jina langu ni Musa na wewe?
Nzuri, jina langu ni Lulu. Unaenda wapi?
Nakwenda kwenye soko. Unakwenda kwenye soko pia?
Mimi pia. Utanunua nini?
Nitanunua matunda na nyama. Utanunua nini?
Nitanunua mboga na nguo.
Haya, twende.
Karibuni, jina langu ni Neema. Asante sana. Jina langu ni Lulu na huyu ni Musa. Mnataka kununua nini? Ninataka karoti na kabeji. Haya, karoti ni shilingi 100 kwa kilo na kabeji moja ni shilingi 50. Nipe kilo 2 za karoti na kabeji moja. Zote ni pesa gani? Zote ni shilingi 150. Unapenda matunda? Ndio, Nitanunua machungwa 10 na maembe 10.
Vizuri. Machungwa na maembe ni shilingi 300.
Mimi ninapenda kununua ndizi moja.
Ndizi ni shilingi 100 kwa fungu.
Haya. Hizi pesa.
Asante sana.
Kwaheri.
Kwaheri.
Karibuni, jina langu ni Musa.
Jambo, jina langu ni Musa na rafiki yangu ni Lulu.
Nzuri, na wewe?
Nzuri pia, asante. Mimi ninauza nyama, niwasaidieje?
Una nyama aina gani?
Nina nyama ya ng'ombe, kuku, mbuzi na bata.
Haya, nitanunua nyama za kuku, mbuzi na bata.
Je, ungependa kununua nyama?
La, asante.
Ni shilingi ngapi kwa jumla?
Kwa jumla ni shilingi 1000.
Haya, hizi pesa hapa.
Asante.
Kwaheri.
Kwaherini. Kwaheri.
Nitaenda kwenye duka sasa. Unataka kuja pamoja nami?
Ndio.
Karibuni. Asante.
Asante, hujambo.
Sijambo, ninawezaje kuwasaidia leo?
Ninataka kununua nguo. Una nguo aina gani?
Nina shati, rinda na leso.
Haya, nitanunua shati moja.
Na wewe, unataka kununua nini?
Mimi ninataka kununua shati pia.
Haya, bei ni shilingi 200 kwa shati.
I see. Here's a piece hapa.
Asanteni.
Kwaheri.
Kwaheri.
Nilikuwa na furaha nyingi.
Mimi pia, tutaonana.
Kwaheri.
That was a great video. Guys, you better stay. We're leaving the best for the end. So, and next is Jabali Afrika. So yeah, the floor is yours.
Hey guys, it's good again. It's good to be back again with you guys.
Good to see you.
Yeah, we're gonna start with our first song from our children's album, Grammy-nominated children's album. So this song is called Sabu Moja Mbili. It's basically a children's song that we use to teach Swahili, how to count in Swahili. So we're just gonna count 1 to 10 in Swahili. Yabba, 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 yabba. Sabuni So this next one, we call it Basikoye. So Basikoye is a song that we celebrate moments and celebrating family. So we play it in the style of from the western part of Kenya called Mutibo. So this last one that we're gonna play is called Jerere. We're not gonna play Njere, we're gonna play Aoko. Aoko is a name of my mother. We're celebrating motherhood. It's a son showing love to the mother. So it's a song that basically, in this situation, the way we expressed it as a love song, but it was a son expressing his love to his mother. Aoko is the name of my mother. Nimepanda milima na mabonde, nimepita misitu na nyika, kaogelea kwenye mito na bahari. Aoko, 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 nimekutana vipusa wenye nyuso zinazong'aa, wenye meno maziwa, wenye macho gololi, wenye mwanya mdomoni. Aoko, 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 nimetembea sijamuona msichana kama Aoko. Nimetembea sijamuona msichana kama Aoko. Uko wapi wewe? Nimetembea sijamuona msichana kama Aoko.
Peleka nyumbani.
Nikifikiria kwa Aoko, siri wala sisikii, sura yangu ya tabasamu, naonayo haiduni, alihurukaruka. Aoko, 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 o mwana mer, o mwana mwenye chipenzi, o mwana shidogutswa, o mwana swehe, o mwana yonde. Aoko, Aoko, nimetembea sijamuona msichana kama Aoko. Aoko, nimetembea sijamuona msichana kama Aoko. Uko wapi wewe? Nimetembea sijamuona msichana kama Aoko. Aoko, nimetembea sijamuona msichana kama Aoko.
That was amazing. That was amazing. I can imagine in a real performance live that ending of the song where spectators just go wild. Thank you very much. Thank you. That was amazing. And we will go to the next skit, which is from Yoruba, an Oriki performance by Agbebi. The floor is yours. Thank you again, Jabali Afrika.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jabali. I will be performing my Oriki. The Oriki is a poetic expression of a person in Yoruba. I also have an original Oriki in Nigeria, but in the class I constructed one with the help of my instructor. Describes physical traits, personality, and ends with the description of the hometown of where you're from. So I'll start with my performance. Moron fuluwa yinre, kukuru koga, dudu yemi, omoto dudu bi koro ishi, kotere kosara, olopolo pipe akeko aramanda, omoto farabale kawe ni kolofi, omo agbebi, omo akure olo yemekun, omo amudasile fogun enupami, omo kunrin akure tokobo, ofi agada pa irin, omo birin akure tiodobo, ofosimilo ekun, akure lomi meji, apejeji lala, alashebi ere bi ere, aladiom mi omo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Agbebi, for that great Oriki recitation. And so next we have Swahili 404, which is taught by, so Yoruba 402, follower Agbebi is taught by Igbekele Salau, our Yoruba FLTA, who is doing a wonderful job. You will get to see him in the last performance. So now we are looking forward to Swahili 404, taught by Professor Mwamzandi. And the participants are Kellen, Taylor, and Ali. The floor is yours.
Could I share my screen?
Yes.
Thank you. Can everyone see now?
Yes, we can.
Mjambo, Nina Twa Taylor, Jina Langu la Kiswahili Kusai. Na leo wanafunzi na mimi tutasema kuhusu nchi ya Uganda ambayo ni sehemu ya Afrika Mashariki. Nchi ya Uganda ilipata, you can go to the next slide, sorry. Nchi ya Uganda ilipata uhuru Oktoba 9 mwaka 1962. Kabla ya hii, Uganda ilikuwa sehemu ya koloni ya Uingereza. Sasa nchi ya Uganda ni jamhuri yenye raisi na waziri mkuu. Nchi hiyo, waziri mkuu ya Uganda alikuwa Milton Obote, ambaye alikuwa mwenyekiti wa chama cha siasa kitwacho UPC. Lakini alipinduliwa na mkubwa wa jeshi Idi Amin katika mwaka 1971. Obote alirudi madarakani tena katika mwaka 1950. Mwaka 1995, Uganda walibadilisha katiba ilibadilika na kupitisha sheria iliyoboresha uchaguzi wa kitaifa. Sasa Uganda ni jamhuri yenye vyama vingi vya siasa. Raisi wa sasa wa Uganda ni Yoweri Museveni na waziri mkuu ni Robina Nabanja, mwanamke wa kwanza katika nafasi hii. Wote wawili ni wanachama cha National Resistance Movement. And Kellen, next slide. Watu wengi wa Uganda wanasema Kiluganda na lugha ya pili inayotumika hasa katika muktadha rasmi ni Kiingereza. Lugha ya Kiswahili inatumika zaidi katika sehemu ya kaskazini. Katika mwaka 2011, serikali ilianzisha baraza la Kiswahili kuboresha elimu ya Kiswahili nchini. Sasa Kiswahili inafundishwa shule yote nchini. Kwa kufundisha Kiswahili shuleni, Uganda itaweza kuungana vyema na nchi nyingine za Afrika Mashariki. Asante.
Asante sana, Tyler.
Kwenye mada ya mazingira katika nchi ya Uganda inajumuisha sehemu tofauti. Sehemu hizi hutumika kama sehemu za utalii. Na nchi ya Uganda ina sehemu nyingi sana za utalii mbalimbali kama hifadhi za taifa, maziwa, mito, mbuga za wanyama, makumbusho na milima. Milima iliyopo katika nchi ya Uganda na hifadhi za taifa, kuna milima kama mlima wa Elgon, mlima wa Baker, mlima wa Morongole, na kuna vile kuna hifadhi za taifa mbalimbali kama Semuliki, Kidepo na Budongo. Na vile kuna mito ambayo watu wanaweza kwenda kutembelea. Kuna kama mto wa Kafu na mto wa Katonga. Na vile maziwa, kuna ziwa la Kyoga, ziwa la George, na vile hii sio peke yake kwa nchi ya Uganda. Kuna nchi ya Kenya vile inajumuisha nchi ya Kenya, nchi ya Tanzania na nchi ya Uganda. Wanalo ziwa la Victoria pamoja wanalo. Na kuhusu michezo, kama nyingi za Kiafrika, mchezo wa mpira wa miguu au kandanda ndio mchezo maarufu sana katika nchi ya Uganda, na wanao timu yao ya taifa ya Uganda na wana ligi ya mpira vile katika nchi yao ambayo inaitwa Uganda Premier League.
Nitazungumza kuhusu chakula na burudani mji wa Kampala. Nchi ya Uganda kuna vyakula vitamu sana. Asubuhi watu wengi hunywa chai. Kutengeneza chai, chemsha tangawizi, omujaja kwa Kiingereza basil, mdalasini na kisubi. Watu wengi nchi ya Uganda wanakula Rolex wakati wa kiamsha kinywa. Rolex ni chapati na yai ya kukaanga na mboga kama karoti au kitunguu ndani. Chakula cha mchana utapata matoke mji wa Masaka. Matoke ni ndizi ya kukaanga na nyama ya ng'ombe na mchuzi. Mara nyingine watu wanapika mchuzi wa luombo. Kitoweo ni nyama ya ng'ombe au nyama ya kuku. Unaweza kunywa kinywaji cha dalausi chenye ladha nyingi. Chajio watu wengi wanakula mshikaki. Watu wanapika mshikaki na nyama ya ng'ombe, kuku au mbuzi. Ukifika Uganda usikose kula chakula kitwacho kikalai. Kikalai ni nyama ya nguruwe ya kukaanga na mboga. Watu wanapika nyama ya nguruwe katika kikanga kikubwa itwayo kikalai. Ndiyo maana chakula kinaitwa kikalai. Huko Kampala kuna mambo mengi ya kufanya. Kununua chakula na kupitisha wakati Waganda huenda soko Owino. Unaweza kupata viungo na vifaa kwa bei nzuri. Mji wa Kampala watu wengi hupanda bodaboda kusafiri. Bodaboda ni usafiri wa haraka na bora na unaweza kuona mji. Mtu akiwa Kampala na akawa na njaa anaweza kununua chakula kutoka kwa wachuuzi wa mitani. Mji wa Kampala kuna makumbusho kama makumbusho ya Uganda na makumbusho ya uvumbuzi wa kijamii. Usiku kuna migahawa mingi ambayo mtu anaweza kupata chakula kizuri sana. Asante kwa kusikiliza.
Asante sana. Wow, that's Swahili for academic purpose right there for you. And now we move to a presentation, a cultural showcase by our Yoruba FLTA, Ikbekele Salau. The floor is yours.
Hello, I'm Ibekele Salau, the Yoruba FLTA for this session. Please, can I share my screen? Okay. I'm going to be reciting a poem. In English, you recite a poem or you perform a poem. But in Yoruba, the verb for performing a poem is the verb corresponding to cry in English. So it's a very literal translation of perform or recite a poem in Yoruba is to cry a poem. So I'm going to be crying a poem. So, but I like to start with a song, a very short song, and also end with a short song. So I'll start with a short song. So I now go straight to the poem. The poem is a kind of ode. It's an ode to Olodumare. In Yoruba, Olodumare is the word for the supreme being, the Almighty. The Yoruba believe in many orishas or deities, but they believe that there is a deity in the sky, in heaven, who is above all other ones. So they call him Olodumare. So it's an ode to Olodumare. So I think Nazri will share the screen for the translation. Or if not, I can also share it from here. So I start.
Yes, I put it in the chat.
Okay. Ojúmọ́ ire ló mọ́ mi lọ́jọ́ òní, mo jí, mo fi bà fọ́lọ́run. Bọ́mọdé bá jí, wọn ará bábá fún bàbá. Àgbò jí, ó fi kíkàn dángẹ̀wò. Gbígbó lajá gbó bọ́jọ́ yọ. Àkùkọ gàgàrà lóní kékeré èké ìdájí. Bádìẹ bá mú mi, a fi bà fọ́lọ́run. Ìbà, mo ṣe bá ọba Èdùmàrè. Ìbà Èdùmàrè, ọba alára tá ò rí rí. Mo dé mo wá wárí kí n tó mórin kọ. Lọ́jọ́ tí bàbá dáyé, ayé gún gẹ́gẹ́. Apẹ̀pẹ̀ alẹ̀ ni bàbá dá, kí adarí hurun ó ríbi fìdítì. Ọ̀gẹ́rẹ́ afọkọ́yẹrí lóríkì tílẹ̀ ń jẹ́. Ọ̀gẹ́rẹ́ afọkọ́yẹrí lóríkì tílẹ̀ ń jẹ́. Abi gbogbo ara yọké, ike ń bẹ lásó, ike ń bẹ lólúmọ. Kilimanjaro kan àgùnṣẹ́ lékún, pẹ̀lú ẹfárẹ́sì ní jìnnàjìnnà. Ike tó borí ike gbogbo. Ọ̀gẹ́rẹ́ alápò òkà ni mò ń wí. Èyí tó da lájẹkì lọ́jọ́ igbádọ̀gún. Òbìrí ayé ńlẹ́ aláṣọ àìrópẹ̀kun. Ìbà, ọ̀kan ṣoṣo Èdùmàrè afaradáṣà. Lọ́jọ́ aláyé ti dáyé. bójú ọ̀run bá dami ilẹ̀ ó fi mu, òǹgbẹ bá gbẹ sánmọ̀ wọn á pọ̀ fún yọ̀yọ̀, omi tí ń bẹ nílẹ̀ sánmọ̀ á sì fi mu. Ìbà Èdùmàrè ọba aláràtá òrírí, mo dé mo wá wárí kí n tó mórin kọ, lọ́jọ́ tí bàbá dáyé ayé gún gẹ́gẹ́, apẹ̀pẹ̀ alẹ̀ ni bàbá dá kádárí hunrun ó ríbi fìdítì, ọ̀gẹ́rẹ́ afọkọ́yẹrí lóríkì tílẹ̀ ń jẹ́, abi gbogbo ara yọké, ike ń bẹ lásó, ike ń bẹ lólúmọ, Kilimanjaro kun àgùnṣẹ́ lékún, pẹ̀lú ẹfárẹ́ẹ̀sì ní jìnnàjìnnà, ike tó borí ike gbogbo, ọ̀gẹ́rẹ́ alápòòkà ni mò ń wí, èyí tó da lájẹkì lọ́jọ́ igbádọ̀gún, òbírí ayé ńlẹ́ aláṣọ àìrópẹ̀kun, ìbà ọ̀kan ṣoṣo Èdùmàrè afaradáṣà, lọ́jọ́ aláyé ti dáyé, bójú ọ̀run bá dami ilẹ̀ ó fi mu, bóǹgbẹ bá gbẹ sánmọ̀ wọn á pọ̀ fún yọ̀yọ̀, omi tí ń bẹ nílẹ̀ sánmọ̀ á sì fi mu, gbà mí lójò kí n gbà ẹ́ lọ́yẹ́. Àwàlà wúlú ojú ọ̀run òhu kókó, ọ̀nà ọ̀run òhu gbòǹgbò, bámọ́kọ́yẹrí bá fi sánmọ̀ ṣe yẹ̀yẹ́ tó ní kí ló ṣe tójú ọ̀run yàgàn, sánmọ̀ ò ní máa rọ̀jò fúnlẹ̀ mu, ìbà mo ṣe bá ọba Èdùmàrè, adániwáyé dágbó kẹran ó ríbi gbé, ó dági kéékèèké fún màdòfò, ó dági ńláńlá kí lákàtàbú ó má pa agbádá yagi, kìrìpá igbó nìran ògìdán jẹ́, abẹfẹ́lẹ́ ní gbogbo ọwọ́ atorí mẹ́ran, àṣán olúkòǹdó lè kánná, àfínjú ẹran tí jẹran sanra, ọ̀tọ̀láàyè kìnìún oníbùdó ìgbẹ́, kìnìún amútọ̀ṣọgbà, afomiró mọdi kágbókáko, òmùgọ̀gọ̀ gbálẹ̀ ìjùmọ̀ tó ní aládé egbò, abúmẹ́ran oko sá kíjokíjo, ọ̀pẹran jọbọjọbọ fi ṣọ̀run àjìjà. Lọ́jọ́ adániwáyé pàtẹ ìtàgé nígbó, àjànàkú ló mú ṣolú ẹ̀dá ìtàn, erin olúugbó afọláyagi nínú oko, lákàtàbú erin ọ̀wàwá níwòwò, erin òrí fọwọ́ mẹ́wẹ̀ẹ̀wá júwe, ẹ̀yìn àjànàkú làáyàdá, agabágirẹ́ agabágidọ́gba, erin pàǹtètè orí jìganran jìganran, ìran erin ló tẹ́lẹ̀ kílẹ̀ rí jìgì. Èdùmàrè ṣòkun àwẹ̀ẹ̀wẹ̀ tán, ó dá lagbalúgbú kẹja ó wẹmi kése, ẹja ò rán sányán ẹja ò rán kíjìpá, bẹ́ẹ̀ òtútù ò mẹ́ja lálẹ́ odò rí, ẹja lónibú ẹja ń jẹwé ẹja ń jẹja, ọ̀nì wàràkà ń jọba nípẹ̀kun odò, jomijòkè ẹ̀dá ń tinú odò bọ̀ wálé, wọ́n ń tinú igbó renú adágún omi, ìbà ọba abòye bímọ yabuga yabuga bí yanrìn okun àti tọ̀sà. Ojúmọ́ ire ló mọ́ mi lọ́jọ́ òní, mo jí mo fìbà fọ́lọ́run, ọba tí pajú ẹni dé nínú oorun tó wọra, ògbé ní tọwọ́ ọ̀sán oorun ní tọwọ́ alẹ́, bójúmọ́ bá mọ́ ọba mímọ́ a tún máa jí ni jẹun, Èdùmàrè ló finú aráyé ṣolú ìlú fún yán, ọpẹ́ fọ́ba tó fúnni lọ́wọ́ ká fi ṣiṣẹ́ ojúmọmọ, àdá ló fi fúnran àgbẹ̀ pẹ̀lọ́kọ́, aró ló fi fẹ́ni tí rẹṣọ, onílé arọ́ lọmọ owó òun ẹ̀wìrì, òòyà lọ́wọ́ onídìrí, akègbè lọ́wọ́ adẹ́mù dáǹdájí, nínú igbó ọdẹ apẹrin fọta fọ́rí ẹran, àwọn àgbà àjẹ̀ṣà wọ́n hun ẹni òrí pèté, ọmọ èké ṣakí wọ́n ń rọdẹ lérí idẹ, àwọn Ọ̀yọ́ ń fi gbẹ̀gìrì jàmàlà gbóná, láfún ni wọ́n jẹ lábẹ́ Olúmọ, epo pupa ní ti ilé àrẹ̀sà méjèèjì, obì lámọ̀jẹ̀ṣà mọ́ ilẹ̀ wọn ò dára fọ́gbìn igi òrí, àṣìṣọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ nìjẹ̀ṣà òṣèré ìjẹ̀ṣà òṣòrí làá wí, obì nìṣẹ̀dálẹ̀ wọn, ẹrú ọwá wọn ò káràmásìkí òrí, igi òrí ò lè hùtàrà nígbó ọwá, obì nìjẹ̀ṣà gbìn, Èkó ládé la ò bóbì àtàwùsá, ààrẹ ni tí ó kọyìn kò sọ́pẹ́ epo, alagbalúgbú ni wọ́n sá káríkárí, ibú lolúwọ bá ekẹ́ wọn, jomijòkè ìlú ẹja pípa làwọn mọ̀dé góńgó, ìṣínwẹ́wẹ́ ni wọ́n gbìn sébè omi, ibú lóko ọ̀sàlẹ̀gàn, ìbà Èdùmàrè ọba aláràtá òrírí, aládé ayérayé abagbádá ọláńlágbáka gbìyàn, ìbà bọ́jọ́ bá tanná dandan ni kọ́jọ́ ó paná, bá a bá nájà títí dandan ni ká padà sọ́ọ̀dẹ̀, orin mi tó fún tọjọ́ òní ó tún dọjọ́ míì ọjọ́ re, òkété fẹ́ forí òkìtì ṣe yẹ̀wù, oyin ṣe tán wọ́n ń re kókó ogi, èrún parí parídà èrún parídà ń ràgìyàn ọmọ oko ń padà sójú ọ̀run gbẹ́kẹ̀ lólú ọmọ sàláwù alágbẹ̀dẹ ọ̀rọ̀ onílé orí òkè tí ráfòpin ẹyẹ ìràwé kì í dájọ́ ọlẹ̀ kó sùnà ilé yá ibi gẹrẹjẹ là á bá gbà.
Wow, that's amazing. Sounded like the talking drum that we just heard. Your voice, that's how it sounded like. That's really crying out a poem. It's really amazing. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you again. Bekele, I'm yet to learn how to say thank you in Yoruba.
Eshe.
Eshe. Okay. All right, fantastic. So next and last but not least is next is Margaret. Whenever you're ready, please. The floor is yours.
She have a video. I will share it. Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Osuji Margaret Ifoma, aka Mejai, and this is Mejai Music Group. And tonight we'll be performing different songs for you from Nigeria, and of course, in Yoruba. Okay, Eka song, Bawo ni o, Ṣé dáadáa lẹ wà o, Ṣé dáadáa lẹ dé o, Ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wa o. Ó dàgbà náà, ẹ jókòó, kẹ́ fìdí kalẹ̀, kẹ́ fẹ̀rẹ̀pẹ̀tẹ̀, kí la tún wá sọ, kẹ́ jẹ́ brọ̀kọ̀tọ̀, kẹ́ gbádùn orin wa, ẹ ṣé gan. To open this performance, we'll be starting with a song from Ibile Mugabe, and the song is titled Ijobawa.
Mo gbàdúrà kò ní síjà kò ní sí o. Ṣàmìdó náà ni. Èmi gangan ni Ibile Mugabe. Ẹ fún wa láyé tiwa, ìjọba wa kò dá. Ìjọba wa kò dá. Ẹ fún wa lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tiwa, ìjọba wa kò dá. Ìjọba wa kò dá. Ẹ fún wa láyé tiwa, ìjọba wa kò dá. Ìjọba wa kò dá. Ẹ fún wa lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tiwa, ìjọba wa kò dá. Ìjọba wa kò dá. Nàìjíríà mo ti rí tọ́lọ́pàá máa tọrọ bárà. Nítorí 20 naira wọ́n lè ti bẹ̀ fáyà. Lórí kò tí yé gọlẹ̀ tún wá sí drama. Kò ṣòwò fáwọn aráàlú, ìjọba wa kò dá. Nígbà kan rí $1 equals to 1 naira, but láyé sí pure water kan wọ́n ti di 10 naira. Láyé sí gàrí tí wọ́n ta bá dẹ̀ fẹ́rẹ́ pa. Láyé sí àwọn ìjọba wa ti doníjà. Àwọn ọlọ́pàá tó dúró sí títí ta 15 naira. Kò sí bí wàá ṣe kọjá tí wọ́n ní béèrè particular. Ṣé bó wá gọlẹ̀ kó lọ sí lókèrè bọ̀? Ẹ wá parọ́ pé ó wà lẹ́yìn fi lọ́ọ́ bá kú dọ̀ ẹ̀. Àwọn ọmọ pa máa strike sí yẹn lẹ́pẹ̀ lọ́lùdé. Ìṣòwò fáwọn òṣìṣẹ́ wa ní kọ́ máa lọlé. Àwọn èèyàn mi jalè torí kò ṣiṣẹ́ nígboro. Economically most obìnrin ti daṣẹ́wó. Ẹ fún wa lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tí wá ìjọba wa kò dá. Ìjọba wa kò dá. Ẹ fún wa lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tí wá ìjọba wa kò dá. Ìjọba wa kò dá. Ẹ fún wa lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tí wá ìjọba wa kò dá. Ìjọba wa kò dá. Ẹ fún wa lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tí wá ìjọba wa kò dá. Ìjọba wa kò dá. Àwọn èèyàn wá kú lójoojúmọ́ nítorí poverty. Kò síṣẹ́ nítorí ojú ká lọ fọ́bọ́ nínú canteen. Ẹ máa ráwọn young youth níbi tí wọ́n ti mọtí. Kí ló dé ìjọba ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ wo láṣẹyìn tì? Mo gbàdúrà pé kò ní pẹ́ kó tó yá wọn citizen. Pani right àti freedom àkíṣe liability. Ìmọ̀ wa, òye wa, a tún lè fi gbé lùgà. Kò gbọ́dọ̀ dìgbà tó bá sọ pé àwọn tún yọ̀bọ̀ sí wa. Àwọn ọmọ fẹ́ lọ léwe, kò sówó tó àfi rán wa. Àwọn òbí wa ò ríṣẹ́ ṣe, kò sówó tó àfi tọ́ wa. Ẹ̀yin ìjọba wa kò dà, kí la ṣe ta fi ń jìyà? Ó ṣe jẹ́ pé nígbà tí wà lẹ̀ wá mú kan lè fún wa. Ìjọba tí ò dá ló fà ni wọ́n fi ráyè tiwa. Tí ò bá ṣe pé bó ṣe jẹ́, àwa náà lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tiwa. Àwa náà lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tiwa. Tí ò bá ṣe pé bó ṣe jẹ́ gan, àwa náà lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tiwa. Ẹ fún wa lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tiwa, ìjọba wa kò dá. Ìjọba wa kò dá. Ẹ fún wa lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tiwa, ìjọba wa kò dá. Ìjọba wa kò dá. Ẹ fún wa lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tiwa, ìjọba wa kò dá. Ìjọba wa kò dá. Ẹ fún wa lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tiwa, ìjọba wa kò dá. Ìjọba wa kò dá. Gbogbo ènìyàn mi mo wá pẹ̀lú ìrẹ̀lẹ̀. Kí láǹfààní World Cup tí ò bá ń ṣe nítorí ìsowọ́pọ̀ ìfẹ́? Kí láǹfààní bàtà táwọn wọ́ ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ gan tí ò bá ń ṣe nítorí kó bo ẹsẹ̀? láǹfààní ìjọba tí ò bá sáwọn èèyàn níbẹ̀ ẹ ká gbàdúrà fáwọn ìjọba pé kó má ṣe ṣe wá bí ìrà àwa náà lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tiwa a ò dẹ̀ gbàgbà gbà. ẹ fún wa lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ tiwa ìjọba wa kò tán.
Okay, coming up next is Jabali by Magi. Coming up next is Trabaye, again by Magi and De La Cruz. time, my time, my try, my share, my do it, to time, my boy, my sorry, papa, say for the full of my doing, and I'm going to Catapala to be tanga, be a matanga, and let me come out, and Joe Waka. So, tell it, be looking shit, get it, to that guy, tell it, but illusion, so tell it, be looking shit, tell it, to that guy, tell it, but illusion. Okay, and for our last song for tonight, we have Ololufe by Timzat and Dela Cruz.
All right, so
Magic boy. Olólùfẹ́ mi àjọkẹ́, olólùfẹ́ mi abẹ́fẹ́, olólùfẹ́ mi ni máa bá lò títí jọjú alẹ́. Ìwọ nìkan ni máa fẹ́, ìwọ nìkan ni máa kẹ́. Ẹlẹ́gàn bá kí
we can go this here.
Ìwọ ni máa bá lọ. Adé orí mi o, ìwọ ni máa bá lọ. Olólùfẹ́ mi o, ìwọ ni máa bá lọ. Adé orí mi o, ìwọ ni máa bá lọ. Ìfẹ́ mi, ìfẹ́ mi, ìfẹ́ mi, ìfẹ́ mi, ìfẹ́ mi, ìfẹ́ mi, ìfẹ́ mi o, ìfẹ́ mi. Ìwọ ni mo fẹ́ dọjọ́ ayé mi o. Ìwọ ni mo fẹ́ nílé ayé mi o. Láíláí ìfẹ́ rẹ lọ́kàn mi. Kò sẹ́lòmíràn lẹ́yìn rẹ o. Ìfẹ́ mi, ìfẹ́ mi. Ayọ̀ mi ló jẹ́ ìfẹ́ mi. Ìdùnnú mi nìyẹn ìfẹ́ mi. Ìwọ lèjìká mi ìfẹ́ mi. Ṣé máa dúró dé mi tójó bá rọ̀? Ṣé máa dúró dé mi tọ́rùn bá rùn? Tó bá dojọ́ gbàgàjì, ṣé máa dúró dé mi tí màá lówó lọ́wọ́? Ṣé máa dúró dé mi bójú gbé mi nílé lọ? Ìfẹ́ ló jẹ́ kí n mọ̀ tán, ìfẹ́ ló gbé mi lọ́rọ̀, ìfẹ́ ló gbé mi sókè, ìfẹ́ rẹ̀ ni mo tọrọ. Olúwa ló fún mi fún ẹ, àjọkẹ́ mi, Olúwa ló ní kí n máa kẹ́. Ìfẹ́ mi, ìfẹ́ mi, ìwọ ló jẹ́ ká ṣọ̀bọ́ lọ́rùn mi. Ìfẹ́ mi, ìwọ ló lómi tẹ́mi nù. Ìfẹ́ mi, ayọ̀ mi ló jẹ́. Ìfẹ́ mi, ìwọ ni màá bá lọ. Olólùfẹ́ mi, ìwọ ni màá tẹ̀lé. Adé orí mi, torí ẹni bí ọkàn mi ló jẹ́ ìfẹ́ mi. Ayé mi, ìdùnnú mi, ìfẹ́ mi, ìfẹ́ mi, ìfẹ́ mi. Ayọ̀ mi nìyẹn ìfẹ́ mi. Àrídùnnú mi, ìfẹ́ mi.
Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to perform for you today, and I hope you liked it. And I hope we're able to get you to move a bit or nod your head, or at least enjoy the performance. Okay, thank you so much once again. And this has been Major Music Group. Once again, I'm Osuji Margaret Ifoma. Bye.
Wow. This is so lovely. And I think you got us to move, all of us. Thank you very much again. And I hand it over to Mwalimu Mohammed, or to Ada to say the last words of closure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you, everyone. As you can see, I'm connected to 2 different laptops, trying to make the back end work. But I also have to express gratitude to the team behind the scene. Nasri Tibebu has been supportive in helping us plan and organize this event. Nasri works for the center. And I think my colleague Stacy too is somewhere. Thank you, Stacy. And I also want to thank, our artists for showing up. Most of them it's really late for them, but they've showed up and performed greatly. Thank you to our FLTAs for all the great work that you do. And thanks for sharing all that you did today. And of course, I cannot forget to thank the language professors who have driven and grown and expanded the language offering here at UNC and continue to expand it and doing excellent work and really committed to not just teaching the language, but representing the continent. On behalf of my co-directors, I want to say thank you. Ashu Handa and Vicky Rovine, who are unfortunately unable to join, we want to thank you. And I also think Claude is here, the chair of the AAAD department. Thank you, Claude, for joining us and for your continuous support to the work.